Minister for Education on our WhatsApp number 0555561 So the ministry has opened Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics STEM Senior High Schools portal for prospective students in the 2023 school placement and selection process. The portal gives access to the list of new STEM SHSs included in the 2023 school placement and selection process. It also provides information on available STEM programs and their career pathways, as well as details on existing schools that will be offering STEM programs during the 2023 academic year. So how many STEM schools are kickstarting this campaign? What happens to kindergarten, primary, JHS? And what's with all the B7, B6, B9 and all that? We are just trying to understand. The man to answer all your questions, the Honorable Minister for Education, Dr. Yaw Adutwum, has joined us at the table. Honorable, good morning. Welcome and a Happy New Year to you.
Very good morning and a Happy New Year to you as well.
Welcome back to the table.
Yes, thank you.
And once again, it's about something that you've been driving so strongly since you were appointed, STEM education. And we cannot emphasize enough how important that is. But what is this going to mean for the current structure of schools as we have it today? We know that we start with preschool, which pretty much goes from kindergarten and some nursery education. We have basic 1 to 6, and then we have the JHS 1 to 3, and then SHS 1 to 3. All that is meant to change. So what's the new structure looking like?
The structure itself may not change, but what goes into it definitely will change. But first of all, thank you. This is my first in-studio interview.
Okay.
In 2023. So
we are lucky.
Part of history, my history. So it's great to be here. I know we have a very short period of time.
Yep.
So what I'll say is that STEM is repositioning our education system to make it a vehicle for socioeconomic transformation. In plain language, we want to make our education system more relevant to elimination of poverty across the length and breadth of this nation. After independence, we've made some giant strides. But as a country, we can do more. We have children who are so much enthused about learning as compared to others around the world. And we have a rare opportunity of really transforming the minds of the Ghanaian child to use education to become the inventors of the 21st century. You see, we are in the 4th industrial revolution. Things are shifting in front of us. It's estimated that within the next 10 years, 40% of all jobs as we know them today will disappear. So new jobs are emerging, and those who are going to be trained for that society have to be creative individuals who are collaborators, critical thinkers, and effective communicators. So if your education system do not produce individuals who can decide that I've changed my mind, I don't want to be this anymore, but I have the skill set to become this individual. If your education system says you're a young woman, you chose visual arts in high school, and will never allow you to change your mind. If you woke up one day and you have an epiphany, and you say to yourself, I want to be an engineer, should we hold you back and say, no, 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 you can never be? In this 21st century, any education system that holds people back is not going to train the people that we need for our transformation. So the bottom line is the STEM offers us a rare opportunity where you move from rote memorization, or in what is called the New Bloom's taxonomy. If you're sitting in a class, your teacher will be asking questions of students. If you hear the teacher say, why, how, those are important, but he's just checking for understanding, or at best he's just checking if the children remember what he or she said. But remembering is the first level, the lowest level in the teaching and learning process if you want to have creative individuals who can change your country. So if your exams is checking for remembrance and is checking for understanding, you are not even close to application where they can apply what they've learned. Application itself is number 3. So you move up the ladder from application to analysis. And then from analysis, you go to evaluate. And the highest level now is creation, or you have to create. So the visual artist is taught at the highest level possible because he has to create. He cannot memorize a picture. and talk to you about it. He has to create. 60% of his day is focused on creating something. But these are the young men and women that we say cannot become economists, cannot become engineers because they did visual arts. So what we have now at the ministry is to create opportunity for students who decided that they want to do business, they want to do home economics, and then wake up one day and say, no, we want to change our minds. The opportunity is now there for those students to go to UMatt, Takwa, or Pentecost University and have a 1-year pre-engineering. And from there, move on to engineering 101 or level 100 courses. So our system is now allowing children to change their minds. There are Ghanaians who have traveled abroad. They did archaeology at Legon. They go to America and they become cardiologists because the system allows. And somebody will say, no, we have so many students who did science. But what we are forgetting is that we've set a goal for ourselves as a nation in the education strategic plan to have 60% of our university students enrolled in STEM-related fields. Meanwhile, at this point, only 12% are enrolled in science at the high school. You have to open the floodgates of science, of STEM, to all and to them.
We've run the system for so long. The structures that currently exist support the old system that we now want to fade out to bring in the new STEM process or the structure as you put it. What is changing? What has changed? Are the teachers ready? Are the classrooms ready? Are we fit to kickstart this?
Yes. I would say I'll start from the basic level. There's a KG building at Dome Kwabenya, which will be launching very soon. That's the new KG learning environment that is coming. There are about 110 of them. You go in there, the equipment, the tools that is teaching children differently. 110 are spread across the country. Those are pilot sites where we are changing the way children learn. But also understand, there are some who will say that the facility you see in some locations will not be able to facilitate what you are talking about. And that's why I'm so happy that the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is championing the replacement of dilapidated school buildings. In fact, as I speak with you, just about 3 weeks ago, we started construction of new KG buildings and primary school buildings, junior high school buildings across the country. I can report to you that if you go to South Ridge Experimental School area, Sunyani, a new junior high school block funded by BADIA, the Arab Development Bank, is going to begin there, fully funded. The money is coming from the Arab Development Bank. At Tobiasi DA Basic School at Adansi South. Just to mention a few, Jenem Presby School, German South, Bremen RC Junior High School, Tano South, and the list, a whole list of schools that are going to see total transfer. New schools are being built, old schools will be pulled down, and in this school environment, you can implement STEM and do it well.
But that's 110 out of how many basic education
You start from
facilities?
somewhere, my sister. If we become overwhelmed by schools that are not in good shape and say to ourselves, because I don't have the money to do, I'm not starting. A journey of 1,000 miles begin with a step. So the accumulated dilapidation has to be stopped. So we start from somewhere.
So does that mean there's going to be two systems being run? One ongoing are these pilot schools or these STEM schools that you're putting in the portal, and then the existing ones that do not have the facilities that we've seen on the screen that you're putting up for some of the communities.
Existing schools are also being rehabbed so that you can put in the necessary technology. There's a project that is called Positivo out of Brazil, and I can tell you some of the schools. For example, Nana Ankobia Techiwa Basic School at Mampong, Equiapim. They are rehabbing the space, putting the security, putting the desk table so that you can store the equipment there. Bring North, Akwasi Methodist Basic School. This is an existing school, rehabbing so that I have the electricity and other things to really put in the equipment so that you can also do STEM, do the coding and all those things. A list of a number of schools across the length and breadth of this country. So all that I'm saying is this: we may not be able to do everything at a go, but we have to begin. And if we don't begin, we'll not get to where we need to get to.
I get that bit, but Do we have the textbooks, for example, to run this program?
No, for example, engineering sciences that we are beginning at the high school, which will include robotics and computer. Yes, there are books in the system. And in fact, interestingly, engineering sciences was being offered in Nigeria and Sierra Leone. We were not. And now we've gotten the syllabus from WAEC and we've gotten the recommended textbooks from WAEC. So engineering sciences, which will include the programming and everything, is available. The syllabus, WAEC has already approved it, and they were not doing it in Ghana because there was no demand for it. So the good news is that if you look at that course alone and the courses that are part of that component, the syllabus is already available. The textbooks that are used in Sierra Leone and Nigeria, they are already available. So those are things that assistance systems that we need to tap into so that it doesn't take you 2 years to begin. Already the existing systems there. If you look at what Positivo is doing, the whole program comes with a curriculum. So you don't have to go and write your whole curriculum. The implementers brought their whole curriculum. If you look at Televic, that has been about 400 labs across the country. It comes with a curriculum and a portal for students to use them. If you look at eTransform, building about 400 computer labs, same thing. The training component is there, the curriculum is customized, and it comes with it. So the whole thing is, how do we leapfrog inequality, the gap between us and the rest of the world? How do we make sure that we take steps to bridge that gap so that Ghanaian youth can also participate in the 21st century world?
Are the teachers ready for this new journey?
Oh, yes.
Have they been consulted? Are they on board?
They've been trained. Teachers, if you go to schools that are doing STEM, I'll mention one school, Busumtwi Girls. The STEM lab that was built there, the teachers were trained, the students were trained. It's part of the whole rollout. So you cannot do this. You go to Accra High, the STEM center that is there with 3D printers. Teachers have been trained, and Ghanaian teachers are so agile. They are ready for transformation. So Accra High School, the STEM center is operational. Not only high school students are going to do engineering science, but they also bring students from the neighborhood schools, young ones who are doing Scratch, and those programming languages are right there. And teachers have been trained. In fact, a number of them were selected through the GES, and they've received training. That's why that center is running so well.
In all, how many teachers are we talking about who have been through training to start this?
The STEM schools, some of them have already begun last year. So it was like a pilot. All teachers there will have been trained. And now we are looking at the new ones. Training is going to begin for any new person coming on board. But you see, the critical thing is that I think when you provide teachers the opportunity, the Ghanaian teacher is so versatile. You just have to provide them the opportunity. And I will not be able to tell you the actual numbers, but every school that is implementing, teachers there are going to be trained.
Okay, so for example, if I go on the high street and I go to Bishop's Girls School,
yes,
where I attended, if there is a plan to include the STEM in the core of the courses that the children there read, what does it mean for the school that I know as Bishop's Girls School?
I love Bishop Girls School, and I have a story to tell you about Bishop Girls. 3 years ago, I went to UK, visited a school where they were doing Scratch. The next week when I came, Dreamover has started a program at Bishop Girls where they built a computer lab, I think sponsored by Samsung, and they were teaching Scratch. At Bishop Girls, the class was being taught by a student. The student was leading it, telling the student what to do in terms of the Scratch, and it was perfect. You can hear a pin drop. So Bishop Girls already have a coding program there. And it was a side thing to see that what was being taught in UK by a teacher was at Bishop Girls being taught by a student. And she has mastered it in such a way that she was the facilitator. Yes, there was a teacher in the room, but she could lead the whole Scratch programming without intervention of the teacher. So the bottom line is that in a place like that, when they have their science lab, as they do, then rotating the other student through the class becomes much easier because it's just a question of training the teachers training the students. One interesting thing I've seen from my experience, many years of experience in the US compared to Ghana, is that our children are so ready to learn. In my schools in the US, I was literally begging the children to learn. Here, the children are begging us that if you provide us the opportunity, we will perform.
So it means in effect that the STEM courses are more like a classroom or a lab that's being put in the school, and all classes have access, just like you would go to a science lab, or you would go to a chemistry lab, you would go to a biology lab, and any student at any of the classes will have time on their timetable where they can go to access the facility. Am I right?
There are two options and two pathways. We have those who take STEM as the pathway. You know, if you look at every high school, Ghana, we have career pathways. So you have those who do science, and those who do home economics, and those who do visual arts, right? And every one of them is required to do information technology, IT, or what we may call computer applications. So every student gets a dose of computers, right? But we also want to have students who choose to do engineering. That is their pathway. Or aviation and aeronautical sciences, that becomes their pathway. So in the same way that somebody does home economics, but get a class in computer application, now you're going to get somebody who does engineering. But you see, the difference between how STEM is taught and how you teach a typical engineering class, let's say at a technical school, is the fact that it's more integrated. When a topic is being taught, they are bringing biology aspect to it, into the whole thing. Chemistry may be part of it. If you are going to manufacture, let's say, a plastic chair, you have to know your chemistry. You have to know your fixes, because heat is part of it. How to mold it, it has to get to a certain temperature. So you begin to realize that it's not just a question of chemistry, a question of fixes, by the integration of all those, and then your mathematics get applied, so that you know how many steps you have to take, how many, what materials and what percentage has to be in the calculation. So STEM is an integrated learning process that does not say you are just doing fixes. And then business will even come. How do you market the plastic chair at the end? So it brings different fields to bear in the whole teaching and learning process. And the students have to learn collaboration, working with each other. That's where the 4 C's come alive. So you do collaboration, working with each other. You do creativity, making sure the design fits what will attract people to even buy the plastic chair in the first place. Then you don't have to forget critical thinking, and then communication. You may have manufactured it, but if you can't the plastic chair, if you don't communicate it well, know how to market it, your plastic chair will not be sold. So that is why the 4 C's come alive whenever you are doing STEM integration. So yes, every student will have some dose, but they are also going to be those who decide that I'm starting engineering from here. I'm starting computer science from here. Because come to think of it, students go to university to do computer science with no prior background in terms of all the programming languages, the C, C++, the Cobra, and all those things being introduced to them. In other jurisdictions, computer science is done at a more intensive level at the high school before you move on to college.
So what's with all the B7 and the B8 and the B9? I get the sense that there is an idea to sort of move 1 year of SHS to join JHS. Is that the impression? Because now, rather than go through 1 to 6 and then say JHS 1, 2, and 3, you're proposing some changes. I want to understand what the proposal is. In effect.
The good news is that I'm not proposing anything. I've asked NACA to respond to it. That is not an official policy from a Ministry of Education. Somebody probably floated the idea. It has never been adopted as the official policy of the Ministry of Education. The idea that junior high school should become 4 years and high school 2 years, no. It's not something that I will ever endorse. So
when I see the B7 and the B6, that's not...
You see, the B7 idea was to just say, you are part of basic school, right? But we've missed the point as a country. We've missed the point because basic is not an education terminology. Basic is just saying that that's the baseline, the minimum. So when the World Bank and UNESCO come to us and they work with us and they say, hey, you're a developing country, you can't afford secondary education, at least you must have a basic education, and that basic education is from KG to junior high school. So we forget about the fact that junior high school is a high school. It's a lower secondary. Then we adopt their terminology of saying basic school. So somehow, instead of junior high school 1, we call it basic 7. I don't subscribe to it. NACA had it in their documents and it's out for review, because I believe strongly that high school is high school. The reason why we call it junior high is that it's high school for the younger ones. So if it's JHS 1, it's JHS 1. Don't call it basic and minimize it. And there was also suggestion about high school becoming basic 10, basic, no.
I've seen those as well, and I'm very confused.
Around the world, you have secondary. So in most countries, secondary is not less than 6 years. So you do your primary, secondary. But because we adopted the World Bank and IMF, and the UNESCO terminology of this is your basic education, we somehow made basic synonymous with primary and junior high school. But there's nothing basic about them. It's just saying the minimum that you needed to have. Now it's no longer the minimum. Now high school literally, practically, has become the minimum. So why do we have to continue to call it our basic? Our basic is no longer up to junior high school. Families now have opportunity to educate their children up to high school level. And so as a consequence, do you then call high school basic? No. It's just a question of saying this is our baseline, this is the minimum, right? This is the basic that you can. But there's, in the actual school systems around the world, there's nothing like basic. It's primary, secondary.
I came across this rather lengthy attempt to explain what was going on, or the changes that you refer to, something that was circulating widely on social media, which read like a summary of new educational reforms outlined by MOE and GS, and also mentioned NACA. It said, among other things, that kindergarten, primary, JHS, and SHS shall all be described as basic school. JHS 1, 2, and 3, and SHS 1 shall now be referred to as BS 7, 8, 9, and 10. You're saying that that is not the proposal.
This document that you see is never an official policy document from Ministry of Education or GS. So we have said that, yes, they called the junior high school 1 as basic 7, and junior high school at basic 8, and junior high school 3 at basic 9. You see, that was the nomenclature that was used when they were writing the pre-tertiary education curriculum to the junior high school. The point I'm making here is that you have so many things, talking about, as you rightly pointed out, almost like 2 years of high school, and that is not our official position. So I've asked NACA to respond, so that the public will not be confused. Yesterday, I got a message, WhatsApp message from somebody higher up. So, is this what is going on? I said, no, please, no, please. It's
because
not.
We had quite a number of people coming to us
No,
and
it's not
asking,
true.
can you find out from the ministry what is going on?
Nothing has changed so far. The structure of the Ghanaian education system is concerned. And for you to do this, you need serious stakeholder engagement. And I don't see the wisdom in reducing high school content to 2 years. If anything, you need more and not less. So it's not accurate. And I've asked NACA to respond so that where there was confusion, it can be clarified that we are not. What we are interested in is what is taking place. Whether you call basic 6, basic 7, or junior, what is going on there in the classroom? How are you changing the teaching and learning environment to produce the next generation of Ghanaian who can rule the world?
That's a worthy clarification, Honourable Minister, because I thought that if that was the case, what happened to the current structures of secondary schools as we know it? Because you cannot start from, again, Bishop Girls School and go to JHS 3, and then when it comes to time to do the senior, then where do you go? And what does it mean for the already established secondary schools that do not have junior high schools? And we come back to a whole mix of things. But what you're saying in effect that is not true, and NACA will come out to clarify them. So let's go back to the STEM portal that you've opened. How exactly, what should parents know about this opportunity? Can anyone get in there? Because now they are looking like special schools, and you need some kind of access. Access, which where the computer placement itself is concerned, has come under question.
Yes, computer placement. I hear I'm told, and I know there's some documentary. I'm yet to watch it to see.
You were interviewed as part of that piece.
Yeah, but having watched what was said before I was interviewed. But I want to tell you this, I'm grateful to Manasseh for producing a documentary that can help make my job better. If this is going on, there's a cartel, it has to be stopped. And I work with security agencies and work with Manasseh and his team to make sure this does not happen under me as the Minister for Education.
But according to Manasseh's allegation, it is happening.
Yes, so it has to be stopped. If he has done a documentary that shows that it's happening, we stop it. I work with security agencies to make sure we stop it. Free Senior High School is not for sale. So if anybody thinks they can manipulate the system and do something untoward, it has to be stopped. That's why I'm very grateful to him that he has spent time and resources to uncover some of the things that he's talking about. And my staff is poring over the documentary and will respond appropriately. But I just want to say upfront that I'm appreciative of the fact that an organization is taking the time to help make my job better.
May I ask, what understanding did you get before granting the interview? What were you told was being done?
Oh, he gave me an overview of some people who pay money so that they can get access to our secondary schools, and I was very disturbed by it. So I granted him the interview because I supported the idea that this has to stop and that nobody under any circumstance should be able to do what he alleged was happening. Because the protocol system was there before the computer placement system came. It was done differently because everything was being done manually. The majority of our schools are funded by churches and in some places chiefs. So there's a special dispensation put in place because and old boys who contribute significantly to schools like Presec, the church, Presbyterian Church. How do I tell the moderator that the school that you funded and continue to fund and provide resources, if you want 5 or 10 students to go there, I won't allow you. So it's a system that we came to inherit. If, unfortunately, people are using dubious means to get access to something that has been set aside to these key supporters of education in the country, it has to be stopped. And that's why I embrace the documentary that has been done. As soon as we know the content, we'll respond appropriately, and we'll work with the security agencies to ensure that this year's placement will be flawless, and that nobody will be able to take advantage of something so sacred as Free Senior High School and giving opportunity to everyone to be in. I'm so happy, though, that something has been done, and we are going to embrace it and look at plug any loopholes that's out there.
I'm happy to hear that. For the avoidance of doubt, who has access to these Category A schools? The allegation is that it would be you, Honorable Minister, and the Director General of the Ghana Education Service.
I think some people don't understand how this system works.
Help us understand.
You see, the protocol from the senior high school headmasters, nobody approves it. They just upload it. So if the high school headmaster has 50 people on protocol, they just upload it, and the technical person has to just say approved. You don't vet it. So the idea that you sit there and you are determining, no.
Because that's the understanding I get, for example, when I hear that it is the minister and the director, the DG, who have the only authorization, the only means or the passwords to authorizing those who get placed in these Category A schools.
No. You see, what happens with placement in all schools for that matter, and Category A schools for that matter, is that 30% of all the placement is set aside. for students who went to public junior high schools, a proxy for disadvantaged. So until now, until free senior high school, if you go to a school like Wesley Girls, only about 5 or 10% at most will have gone to public schools. This new system allows a minimum of 30% to come from those who have an equity intervention, so that they too can have access to schools that they will never have dreamt of going. After that is taken care of, we also felt, and we feel strongly, that those who are the founders of the school, the teachers who teach in that school, the church leaders of those schools should also have something set aside for them. So when that list is submitted, it is not the minister who says, who is this child? Are you the son of the archbishop? Or are you this? Do I allow you? No.
Does it raise issues of fairness to you, though?
More than fair when 30% of spaces are allocated to students from disadvantaged backgrounds.
But
30%.
Now what the allegation is suggesting to us, and we'll leave it to the powers that be to prove or disprove the allegation, is that even these places that you're telling us is reserved to take care of these vulnerable groups of people are up for sale. And so are those spaces even available?
Categorically no. Go to Wesley Girls and find out the enrollment. The data is public information. Categorically no. I haven't seen the documentary, so I cannot respond to that directly, but I'm responding to your statement. For the first time, the poor has asked, you remember the student from Tra who got admission to Achimota, and the chief sent a delegation to bring her. That was the first time any student from Tra was coming to Achimota. This has been revolutionary. So we should not minimize that at all. For the poor who are listening to us, this is something they are proud of. You come to my constituency, Bosomtwe. The students that I've been able to sponsor couldn't have had the opportunity if the 30% protocol set aside was not there for rural and urban poor children. So we shouldn't minimize that at all, because a major intervention, and it's helping so many people get access to schools that were the preserve of the rich in this country. So I will not apologize for those people too who support the schools to be given the opportunity to also have their children going to those schools. Look at siblings. One child is going to Achimota. Mom is saying, I cannot go to Achimota and go to Augustins to go and see my children. Can the other sibling, Madam Headmistress, can you allow the sibling to also come here? I don't think we should say no to that kind of a parent who should not be put in a situation where this week he's at Chimota, the next week he's traveling to Augustins, and God forbid you have 3 of them in high school at the same time, and the 3 of them are placed in 3 different schools. The burden on the parent. So if the headmistress says, I'm willing to place your child here so that the 2 of them will be together, the 3 of them should be together, I think it's an initiative that we need to support. But after watching the documentary, if there's any loophole that is enabling people to do what is alleged that they're doing, then we'll work with security agencies to make sure the loopholes are
plug
plugged.
Those holes.
Yeah, so that the intent is then not taken advantage of in a negative
Exactly
way.
my point, because this was brought in because of the failures of the old manual way of doing things. The idea is that the computer system would offer more fairness, and it would be based on the algorithms that were set up to make the system run, and not to be manually manipulated by staff.
You see, the thing is this, that is also another misconception.
Okay.
I'm here to watch what was alleged. But the thing is this, when you sit in the room where the computer people are doing the work, you can't go around it. You can't go around the barriers that they've put in place when they say, when the first placement results come up, 90% is placed there. You can't do more than 10% in terms of the protocol. So it's not as if you go to Wesley Girls and you say, I'm a staff. Unless even if you hack into the system has the firewall to withstand it. So the idea that the people who work on it can then go in there and then make the changes so that instead of 10%, 5% protocol, it become 20%. I haven't watched the allegation that is being made, so I can't respond to that. But if what you are saying, I'm responding to what you are saying, that is not accurate. That somehow the 30% from rural areas don't get to go there. In fact, there are top level schools now where about 40% of the students are from public junior high schools, because of the equity element that has been introduced.
We're seeing some of the visuals of Manasseh's his investigative piece that's set to air. The Honorable Minister for Education, Dr. Yaw Adutwum, just speaking to some of those claims, and he says that everything will be done to make sure that if indeed the allegations are proven, those found culpable will be brought to justice. Accountability is what is at play here. So I'm happy that you intend to do a lot about it. We'll be taking some of the messages that have come in now on our screens, and some of them would ask some questions, and if you would be so glad, you would have to answer for us, and then we'll get back to our STEM conversation, because that's the main topic that brought you here today. So a number of messages on our screen. Our WhatsApp number 055 5561034. And these are your thoughts and not the thoughts of GBC. So, Honourable Minister, if you may. Trisha, thank you. Looking great. Could you please ask the Education Minister, why haven't they fixed the dilapidated school blocks, ignoring broken desks and chairs, and what have you? Primary school kids need a good foundation. So the already existing systems that are broken, why have you not fixed it? Ellen from Tamale, please ask the Minister, why is it that he's always sitting in Accra but do not travel to rural communities to know what's happening there? Straight shots there from Ellen. Hi Thelma, what is the Minister saying? Is he praising the documentary Ghana Schools of Shame? The hypocrisy is too much. We watched and heard him condemn the documentary. God have mercy. Igwe said that from Teshi. Good morning, BFS. You guys are doing a great job. Keep it up. Thank you. Good morning. Jerry says this is a long one. I'm not sure it has to do with the topic we are discussing. Hi, Thelma. Kudos to Honorable Minister for his hard work. And please ask him, rice and poultry products are major in the free school feeding. Is he not worried about millions of dollars being spent on importation rather than buying from the local producers? So the screen quickly has it just flips conversations around very quickly. More messages coming. I fully support STEM education. However, the minister should also pay attention in improving the numerous dilapidated basic schools scattered across the country. Too much overemphasis on free SHS and secondary education. If we all agree that STEM education is prominent in the 21st century, why then do we still allow our future leaders to study under trees on bare floor in the 21st century? My humble opinion, when the foundation basic school is weak, ... Nana Yao sent that from Accra. My question is, why are we training teachers who have zero knowledge about the course to teach these practical courses? Why not go for people working on the said field to train these kids? So lots of questions for the minister to answer. Praise for you here, Dr. Adutwum. So you are very responsive to all educational issues. Master Planner Junior, Ghana has a great future under the NPP is what you also believe. Let's go to the top and pick the last few messages. Please, good morning. You people are doing a fantastic job. Captain from Nkwanta in the OT region. Please, can we know those already completed SHS if they can enroll into the STEM program? So if you've already finished school, are you able to also benefit? I believe in Dr. Adutwum and the NPP government to place all students to acquire enough knowledge to contribute to the development of Ghana. God bless Ghana and Nanado. Nana Sembinti sent us that. Thelma, good morning to the minister. God bless you for your good works. Please ask. So, I'm not quite sure what I'm seeing here. Please ask the minister if this particular thing is true. So I'm trying to see what I'm looking at. So a BEC placement cutoff points. The table below outlines the BEC aggregate. I'm not. I can't independently verify this as I stand here. So yes, we've seen your message. The minister is super. Last one. Good morning, Thelma. Great to have Dr. Adutwum this morning. STEM is a game changer. So I'm sure you've made quite a few notes, Honorable Minister, and you'd like to respond to some of the comments by our viewers. Thank you for sending the messages across to us. The minister will now address some of them.
Thank you to all those who commended me. You took the time to commend me and the government for the great job that is being done. You also said some good things about the host, so I'm grateful. Existing schools, I think I'm so happy I mentioned the fact that we are building new schools, new basic schools, and I think the list will be left here for it to be posted, so that when you go to the website of GTV, you should be able to find out about locations of the schools and check it for yourself. That construction is ongoing. In terms of furniture, yeah, there was a documentary. We've responded to it. We have on Thursday about 7,000 pieces of furniture is going to Pandai. There will be no classroom without furniture. We believe that students should sit comfortably to learn in our various schools. So we are working on that. Anything that needs to be done to make sure the children are comfortable and they can learn is what we're going to comply with and we're going to do.
On that subject, Honorable Minister, would you care to make any comment about the 8 children who died on their way to school? It's something that broke many hearts, because in a country where we pride ourselves on quality education and access to education, some believe that it should not have been, it should not have happened, that children would have to ferry themselves by themselves without any safety measures or stuff in place. And it took the Ghana Education Service a few hours to even issue that sympathetic note to the family.
They just wanted to find out more, because you see the location, about 8 island towns, and what is in the Sene district. The issue that you had was that their people had to go there, verify, provide them the information. So the district directors, they had to quickly ferry themselves there to come back and provide them information. So the good news is that the condolences is something that is coming from our hearts. You can't even imagine your child going to school never to return. It's not like they're doing something untoward. They were doing all the right things. So I've directed that I will respond to the promise by the regional minister to build a school in that community where the children were traveling from, so that they don't have to travel from that community. It's something that's on an emergency procurement system. We want to get PPA approval within a very short period of time and put at that building there. So at minimum, to be in memory of those children that we lost, and that we can say to ourselves, never again. There have been issues about life jackets and all those things, and supervision of the children. It's something that we take seriously. I've come from a system where child safety is of paramount importance to the education system. So we're going to do everything possible at this time to make sure that this tragedy does not happen again. But at minimum, the town is going to see a new school built there. I'm informed that there are about 90 students from that town. The town has a population of 800 plus. So they are large enough to have a school of their own. So that is going to be provided within the shortest possible time. In the meantime, we are working with the District Director of Education to assess the situation for us in terms of students who are in similar circumstances and similar situations, and what we have to do. We're working with the police, going to work with the police service. I'm told they have a marine police, and to find out if there's a way where we can deploy a boat that specifically work with these children and make sure that they can be transported safely with the life jacket provision and all those things. So I don't take this lightly. It's a heartbroken kind of experience. Losing children by any means hurts. But when you're a minister for education, it's not something that you take lightly. When you lose children, when they are doing what we wanted them to do, when they are not skipping classes and they are going to school, they deserve every protection that we can offer.
Thank you. Minister, talk us through the process once again. The portal is about to open. What's the
it has opened. The STEM portal.
Yep.
It has opened.
It's www.
Do I have it here?
Okay.
I'll check it for you.
We'll find that link, and then we can share the link as well. But
they have opened it, and what it's doing is this. The last time I checked, I saw about 300, 2 days, about Thursday, about 300 parents have
already
selected schools.
Okay.
Selected schools. Any school that you select, if it's your first choice school, it replaces the first choice on your already submitted request through the computer placement
so
system.
This is a selection you do at any level. You can do it if you are in class 1, class 2, class 3, or you have to be in the STEM schools.
These are senior high schools.
Okay.
So it's giving them the opportunity to really select a school to replace what they had already selected. So, for example, I've seen the report that they gave me, preliminary report showed that a number of students want to go to Abomosu.
Okay.
So Abomosu as a first choice probably is replacing St. Peter's or replacing Presec for them. So when they do that, that data then is fed into the computer placement system and it replaces that choice. So if they select Abomosu or Pasempe in the northeast as their choice 2, that goes to replace their choice 2 in the original submission that they made. So because of how the system works,
so it's like a supplementary,
very good.
A supplementary application. Okay. So we are putting the details now on your screen. You go to www.stem-ssp.com.gh. There's all the information you need about the ultra-modern 21st century STEM schools. You click on Start Selection on the home page, and that's how you start. Enter your index number and date of birth, and ensure that you enter your 10-digit index number and the DOB to verify your identity and authentication. Next step is to click Choose Schools and select 2 STEM schools of your choice. And then the final step, step 5, submit your selection. By selecting a STEM school, it may override all your previous selections made. So this is really what we need to be mindful of. If you select a STEM school, it will override all your previous selections made. Honorable Minister, what more information do you have to share before we wrap this up?
I think if they can, I don't know if they gave you the images of some of the STEM schools.
We saw them as you were speaking.
Oh,
the model, yes.
Oh, okay, good.
So we saw some of the ones. I think you mentioned one at Domi Kwabenya in Accra, and there's a kindergarten facility.
That's the KG facility.
That's the KG facility, and there are others. You're saying there's 110 in the making.
This one is this is the Accra.
Okay.
As high school.
So this Accra High School STEM Center, that's what you're seeing on the screen.
So primary school students also use the facility, but the high school students are going to do STEM pathway there. So instead of doing at Accra High, doing, let's say, home economics, you can choose to do STEM. And that means that you have certain courses in computers and engineering.
What are the career opportunities here, quickly?
Career opportunities, unlimited.
Unlimited.
Unlimited, because you see, interestingly, if you look at what is going on in UK and other places around the world, our students who do engineering are more likely to be hired as bankers. It's very interesting because of the critical thinking nature. So they fit into other fields easily. But if you look at the number of years it takes of people to get hired, if you did sociology, many years, engineering, it takes a shorter period of time for people to get jobs. So
what's the cost here? What's this costing us as the government?
It depends upon the program you're talking about.
Okay.
So, for example, in terms of the STEM high schools, I mean, some of the campuses are $30 million construction. The big ones, because it comes with 12 science labs. Some are very small, like the Bosontri Girls, is going to cost about $3 million because it's a very small school, just one instructional block and one dorm. So it depends upon the size of the school and what goes into it. The cost comes out of that calculation. The good news is that it's not just the opportunity for STEM, that also decongesting existing schools. So eventually we can transition them to single track schools. So if you can see Presec, for example, if students become so much excited about Abomosu, and a number of people are going there, then you can also decongest Presec. The good news is that we created a school affiliation program. In fact, the headmaster of Abomosu was assistant headmaster at Presec.
So it becomes like a sister school.
A sister school.
Honorable Minister, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For sitting with
Grateful
us.
for the invite. But don't wait for 3 months, 6 months before you invite me again.
We can have you every week if you have the time. We're grateful
I'll make time
that your
for
team
you.
made this
You are
possible.
good at what you do. And I like being interviewed by people like you.
Thank you, sir. Very grateful. Dr. Yaw Adutwum is the Minister for Education. We've been scooping him this morning on the breakfast show. So he's answered some of our questions and yours about STEM education, some of our questions and yours about the state of our schools, and he shared comments about Manasseh's investigative piece, which is about to be interviewed. He assures us that he will make the appropriate responses if those found culpable are actually confirmed to have committed the crimes they are being alleged of committing. So this is Breakfast on GTV. Remember that it's movie time on GTV every day. Take your lunch break at 12 noon with us with some great Ghanaian movies, and join us on the Omnibus at the weekend as well. So we are doing all things Ghanaian, promoting Ghana and promoting our movie industry. So come on that journey. The Omnibus is on the weekend. Also, massive shout to two people 7 years ago today. Two of you decided to make each other miserable for the rest of your life. You're crazy about each other, and we love that you love each other. Mark and Seiram Agodoa, and the two Agodoalets who have now been brought into the picture. Happy anniversary. 7 years is a number of perfection, and we wish you everything perfect in your marriage. I'm laughing my head off because I have not seen Mark that way in a very long time. One of our producers here, and that's him you saw in the picture. Producer, content, he'll go and put me on social media right now. But I forgive you because it's your anniversary. Enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. This is Breakfast. We'll be back.